Good evening, everybody. This is Martin McPherson, the movie critic from Moviespoon.com and TwinCitiesGeek.com and MoviesWithMark.com. I am joined by my wife this evening, Vision Goo here, and your Twitch channel, Vision Goo. And tonight we're going to be discussing a few movie reviews, well, namely one in particular, the one film that everyone's going to be seeing naturally tonight, so no one's going to be watching this stream, is Black Panther, the latest Marvel film. Now, there's been a lot of expectations for Black Panther. It's the MCU's first black superhero in his own solo film.
Blade
for the MCU.
Okay.
For the MCU, there's been Blade. Blade's had like 3 films. I'm not saying he's the only one. I'm saying within the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now.
Okay.
As a solo one. Because Blade. Hopefully, Blade will come into the MCU eventually.
Because he's a Marvel character, right?
He's a Marvel character.
And he's black.
And he's black, yeah.
And he's the main character.
Exactly.
Wesley Snipes.
But what's interesting about this one is because it has so much riding on it is that not only is it just like one of my expectations for last week was that it was kind of going to be like the whole Wonder Woman shtick, where it was going to get a lot of praise, for having representation, but at the end of the day, Wonder Woman was just like another blockbuster superhero film. At the end of the day, the cool thing about Black Panther is it actually does feel like feels like it's a better representation of like black culture into the actual story rather than just being like, oh, your standard superhero bit, but we threw in like black characters. This one actually feels like it's it represents a little bit more instead of just
in the fictional culture that you don't know anything about anyway.
In the fictional culture, but it seems it seems like it seems like it's more than just the standard bit. And I think what I like most about that is because it's they have enough faith in this film to not go for the easy quips or jokes. It's probably one of the more serious Marvel MCU films that I've seen. Just because there's so many chances they have to make jokes and quips, and they just forgo them because they have enough faith in the drama going here, because it is a very interesting story of kind of like classic storytelling of kingdoms and messy family histories and backstabbings and betrayals and fighting for the throne. It's very much like how Thor was kind of trying to be like that kind of like Shakespearean type.
The first one?
Yeah, kind of like how Thor was trying to go for like a Shakespearean theme, only with kind of like a quirky surfer dude aspect to it.
If you say so.
Well, because it was kind of quirky, because they were trying to be like old-fashioned Shakespearean, but then they crack jokes every once in a while, and Thor would be goofy.
I sort of remember Thor. It's been a long time.
You remember like Thor: The Dark World? It was still kind of in that vein.
I remember Christopher Eccleston covered in stuff.
Yeah. So it was trying to go out there, but this is like the real deal. This feels like it's actually trying to take what makes like Shakespearean tales and mythology tales and make them really both dramatic and fun, and it has enough faith in it to make it work. So the story of Black Panther, it picks up right after the events of Captain America: Civil War. Now, if you remember that, they introduced Black Panther, witnessing his father, the king of Wakanda, dying at a meeting. And so with the king dead, he has to assume the throne now. But the thing is, he's got a lot to go through just to get to the throne and then to fix what's going on in Wakanda. Because the whole deal with Wakanda is it's seen by the rest of the world as kind of like a third world country that is poor, it's very desolate. But the thing is, it's the real Wakanda is hidden behind an invisible shield, kind of like Wonder Woman's Island of the Amazons. Yeah, like how Themyscira is shielded from the outside world. And it's mainly because the culture around Wakanda has grown up on a huge chunk of vibranium that has fueled their culture for so long, and then they realized, well, vibranium can be used for a lot of weapons, and it might be dangerous, so we're going to try to close ourselves off from the outside world. So then vibranium kind of leaks into the world a little bit, like it did with Captain America's shield. So it got built through there, and then it leaked out with Claw from Avengers: Age of Ultron because he was harvesting vibranium.
It's I was gonna say the actor's name, but now I've forgotten what his name is.
Andy Serkis.
Gollum.
Andy Serkis, yeah. And Eddie Serkis is back here, and it feels like okay, Andy Serkis. It feels like he's going to be the villain because he's the Claw. He's missing an arm, so he's got a special arm that fires like energy blasts that can compete with like the Black Panther and his vibranium technology and suit. So you figure like, okay, he's the big cackler. He's going to be the villain who's going to steal vibranium and try to build some big doomsday machine or something like that.
One of the first movies where he's not a fully animated character.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think.
I haven't seen him in many movies. I've only heard his voice.
Yeah. Yeah, he's had a few roles where he hasn't been like. So I was trying to think like the one that comes to mind right away is Inkheart, and he was the villain in that. So
it's just been a while since I saw that, and it wasn't a good movie. It was really boring.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't. Here, he kind of has to be kind of like the more simplistic villain. He kind of because I'm thinking of his last role when he was on War of the Planet of the Apes, and he's still got kind of this this kind of like weird gait to him when he runs.
Here I thought his last role was playing Snoke in The Last Jedi.
Oh, that's right. You see, you forget because he blends so well into all these roles.
Really? I thought you forgot because of what happened to Snoke in that movie. Since they didn't do anything with the character.
Well, there's not much they can do with him now.
Glue them back together.
No. Wouldn't that be great if they did that in the next Star Wars film? Just glue back together.
Hux is just there with some super glue.
like Kylo Ren
just... a duct tape.
Kylo Ren comes back into the room. It's like, Snoke, you're alive. It's like, but I saw you get sliced in half. That was just a flesh wound.
I'm merely a hologram.
Merely a hologram. That was really a hologram. It looks so real.
That was a Force ghost.
CGI magic. So you think that that he would be the villain that Chadwick Boseman has to best, because he seems like just more added on. Because Chadwick Boseman plays T'Challa, who's going to be the next Black Panther. But when he gets back to Wakanda, in order to get to the throne, he's got to go through like a challenge on a cliffside where other warriors have to challenge him for the throne. He has to prove his strength through there. He has to deal with the fact that everyone's concerned about the outside world, whether or not they should interact with him or not, whether they should conquer the outside world because they have the technology and they don't like what's happening in the world. So there's a lot of issues he has going on at home. And Claw is just, this little cackler industrialist off to the side who's jumping around the globe and stealing more vibranium for his little operation. So you think he'd be the villain, but no, actually he's kind of more the secondary villain. Because the true villain here is Eric Stevens, who most people know from the comics as Killmonger. And there's a reason they kind of avoid that name and just kind of keep it as like a code name. Because it's weird because you gotta try to force in these villain names.
That's like with now I can't think of his name either, from Jessica Jones. Kilgrave?
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, what was Murder Corpse taken? And so what they did in that one was that they said, oh, but his real name's like, I don't know, Kevin Johnson or some bullshit like that. And because they're trying to get away from the dumb Marvel names.
Yeah. They kind of try to get away from that. They try to find little ways to wedge it in, like when he goes into a museum to steal some more vibranium from an ancient artifact. He picks up one of the African masks, and they say like, oh, is that vibranium too? It's like, no, I kind of feel it, So it's because it's kind of more like like the costume that he would wear.
Oh,
but they don't.
I see.
But the thing is, yeah, they kind of shy away from it. They don't do it for too long. It's like, okay, he's just gonna wear it for a little bit. Just for a little bit, so he's the villain, the super villain. Because, we want to acknowledge the villain, but we don't want to put him in too goofy a costume.
You want to do, like, the whole X-Men Origins route, where it's like, and he's Beast, and, like, you're Dr. X. That kind of way of going with it.
Yeah.
It's so funny, Charles.
Yeah, real funny. What, you want to put on yellow spandex and go out there? Huh?
That was a joke in there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did bring the yellow back.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting next X-Men film, that's for sure. Can't wait for the Phoenix Saga where everyone's wearing jumpsuits.
Gotta bring in Dazzler. Actually, they did bring in Dazzler.
That's right. They
or
did.
was that Jubilee? I can't. No, it was Dazzler.
Yeah,
it was Dazzler. Why?
Because it's the 80s and we need Dazzler. There's nowhere else she's gonna fit in.
And the actress looked like her, but what a useless X-Men.
Yeah. But Eric's try to avoid calling him Killmonger for the rest of the review. I'll call him Stevens, just because it sounds more proper. But yeah, he's played by Michael B. Jordan, and he's kind of the better villain who takes over because he actually has a point. He's secretly Wakandan, and he's had a messy family history where he's basically ended up on the streets in America without a father because of politics that happened within Wakanda. So he's basically on a revenge spree to, go to get back to the throne and take over Wakanda, because he actually kind of has a decent point about Wakanda. Is that, you have all this technology, you could be doing good in the world. Why are you shutting yourself off from the rest of the world? And the thing is, he's got a good point, and even like T'Challa agrees with him. It's like yeah, that is kind of messed up. Why are we doing this? But then eventually, T'Challa wants to kill him to get to the throne, and then he's got a plan to give all the spies across the globe weapons so that Wakanda can conquer the world. It's like, okay, I can't go with you quite that far, so I'm gonna...
Which one was the superhero again?
The Black Panther is T'Challa.
So he wants to conquer the world?
No.
I'm confused.
No, so the one who wants to conquer the world is Eric Stevens, Killmonger, and
Okay.
And the thing is, he wants to take over Wakanda because he is actually of Wakandan descent.
Yeah, I got that part. I just got confused when you got to the other part because I thought you said T'Challa. That one.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you said that one was trying to take over. And I was like, what? I thought he was the good guy.
So yeah, he's probably like, because a lot of people will say like, these Marvel films, they always have a problem with villains who are just, kind of stock or bland, or their plans aren't that interesting, or their personality is not that unique. This may be the best Marvel villain in the MCU right now.
If you say so. I'm not going to see the movie, so.
Okay, well,
I'm done with hero movies for a while.
Well, from what I've seen from all the Marvel films, this he's the most interesting to watch. He's got a really cool pathos to this, and like his plan, even though he wants to conquer the world like all the other villains, is actually kind of more well thought out, because he's had a lot of time to think about this and try to devise the best way of going about it. So you have like this. There's a lot of like family drama in here of like your ancestors and betrayal. Because like it eventually gets to a point where T'Challa kind of disagrees with what his dad did and says like, I'm not gonna do this with Wakanda. I'm gonna make it better. And he's just saying like, well, good luck with that. But it's tough for a king to do the right thing, because they always want to do the right thing, but it ends up being messy in the end.
Do they always want to do the right thing?
Well, some of them do.
You're talking kings, not elected officials. Keep that in mind.
That's true, yeah. Because that's another good point Stevens makes. Like you're getting onto the throne by nepotism, and that's not really sitting well with me. So he raises a lot of good points about about the way Wakanda should run. So you kind of sympathize with him most of the time, up until the point where he just gets too violent. Now the thing about the film is like it's got all like this kingdom drama going on, but it's also it's a couple different films going on in here, because when they get to the superhero aspect, it kind of turns into a Bond film, because Black Panther's like the city of Wakanda, it's very futuristic with all the vibranium technology they've got. So they've designed all these different transportation systems and spaceships, and they've devised all these different weapons for him to use. And the coolest thing he's got is just the suit for the Black Panther, because not only is it it's vibranium, so it can be indestructible, but it also has the ability to absorb kinetic energy. So if he gets like shot with enough bullets that'll just just put energy into him, he can shoot that energy right back out. So he can build up a whole bunch and then just make like a big blast like that. So that's pretty cool. He's got like some other neat little things like he's got a little like gadget that can let whoever's back in Wakanda drive a car. He's got holographic technology. Yeah, there's all this.
Drive a car.
Yeah, they at one point they got to have like a car chase because like the Bond setting, they got to have a sexy car chase. So at one point, they have these little devices they can just throw on a car, and then whoever's back in Wakanda, they can make a holographic version of it and take over the car.
Huh.
So they got all this crazy tech going on there. It's also very much like a Bond film because they got to have a scene in a casino.
Not quite. Sounds kind of dumb. You're not really making a good case for it to me so far.
Well, I like the fact that they have I kind of like the fact that it has the courage to go with this sort of like tale of kings and and family here, because like they let the soundtrack kind of like swell as if it were like a mythological fantasy. They avoid a lot of points where they could make jokes, and they could because Black Panther is like a tech of Shuri. She's very charismatic and uppity, so you think she's gonna be cracking jokes the whole time. She really doesn't. She has a giddy sense to her, and she's fun to be around, but she's not like trying so hard to get in jokes. And I especially thought that was going to be true with Martin Freeman playing Everett Ross, the CIA agent from Civil War. He's back here, and he kind of plays the kind of like the outsider who's coming into Wakanda to kind of help them out. And you think, man, he's going to be cracking the most jokes because he's finding all this technology astounding and doesn't quite know what to think of it. But no, there's a lot of scenes where they avoid just him making jokes the whole time. He's just kind of confounded. And I also like the fact that the Black Panther goes around with like these female warriors he's got, and they have all this other cool tech as well. They've got little like energy blast weapons, and they got deadly discs and pikes and all this stuff. But there's never a scene where they have to mug at the camera and say, "Oh yeah, isn't this cool?" It's like, no, we know it's cool. So you get to the point. You get to some cool action scenes. So you get a few different films going here. I like the look of Wakanda. Just how they focus just enough on like the technology here, where it's kind of got this mixture of a futuristic city, but a futuristic city that's built around like how you might expect like a city in South Africa to look. And it's kind of interesting because you can kind of see it in like the costumes as well, because a lot of them look like very traditional African garb, but with kind of like more like a modern take on it. So you have like sort of.
But I thought Wakanda was positioned somewhere near the Congo in like the map they showed in one of the movies.
I think it might have been.
Which is in the center of Africa.
Yeah.
Africa's not a country.
Yeah.
They have different cultures all across Africa. They're not homogenous.
Yeah. But it's kind of like nestled in there. So they're saying it looks like it, not like it's actually from that region.
Okay.
But it's different. And it's mainly because like you see all these like different tribe members who are like, you see some of them are like in suits, but they still got like lip plates and stuff like that. And they have all these different like traditions of fighting with just like a shield and a pike cliffside on a waterfall. It seems like I think a futuristic society they wouldn't have to do that, but it's part of their tradition, so they end up doing that. And there's a lot of like cool little mysticism they got here. Like at one point when you become king, you have to talk with your ancestors through this process where they throw sand on you, and then you kind of have this weird vision of meeting your ancestors on whatever plane that you vision them on.
How much are you going to give away for a movie that's coming out tonight, honey?
just enough. I haven't even like talked about some of the huge reveals here with all the family drama. Almost because I don't want to, just because it's so. It's not. I don't want to say dense, but it feels very very controlled. Like there's rarely a moment in this film where I felt like, okay, they got to have this action scene here. Okay, they have to have this exposition. Like it moves really quick for being just a little bit over 2 hours.
Okay. And
it's mainly because there's a lot more breathing room. To like they take time out to explain just a little bit about Wakanda and how these systems work and how his suit works and what the villains want and where their position is in the world. So it feels like they take all the cool stuff that you could do with the Black Panther and explore it as much as you can over the course of like 2.5 hours. But to be fair, though, when we get to the third act, we do have to have our kind of expected battle. And there's like a few showdowns we do expect. It does get a little goofy when they start getting into. There's a bunch of armored rhinos they got to fight at one point. So, and then of course, it eventually boils down to a fight between Stevens and T'Challa, and they're both wearing different kind of Black Panther outfits, so they're both fighting each other with vibranium and trying to find a way to best each other. But yeah, it moves really well, and it feels like the story actually has a purpose here. Instead of just being the typical superhero, let's see a guy fight some people for 2 hours and then stop a giant laser that goes up in the sky. There's no laser this time. No lasers.
Well, that's good.
No laser or doomsday device. It's different, which is what MCU films need to be. Because that's the one thing I love about what they can do with the MCU or these Marvel films is you can have a superhero film, but you can still make it take place in like different genres. So this is kind of like a Game of Thrones type deal. Kind of like how Logan was kind of more of a Western, and how
Logan.
Yeah, and like Guardians of the Galaxy was a space opera. This is very much like a classic like mythology battle for the crown type deal. So yeah, if Thor only seemed kind of like lukewarm on like the Shakespearean story elements, this one goes deep and full for it. And I love the fact that the soundtrack also enhances it as well by not fearing to go with like the somber violins to enhance some of the drama scenes whenever they make a twist reveal or whenever someone dies. And they infuse just a little bit of R&B in there, so it actually works pretty well. So yeah, it's a film that's got its own style and distinct and has enough to, like the best MCU films, is just separate itself out and just make its own thing instead of just being the bridge film between Civil War and Infinity War. So yeah, it's Infinity War's got a lot to live up to now. But I mean that those expectations are through the roof, I think. So
it'll be disappointing then.
I think it might be disappointing just for how much is because they're having like just about every superhero in there, so you're looking at about like 50 characters.
Gonna be bad. I'm not gonna watch it.
It very well could be. I mean, I kind of have faith in it just because it's by the Russo brothers, who they've done Captain America they've done Captain America Winter Soldier and Civil War. So I'm hopeful.
I just can't make myself care about superhero movies anymore. There's been too many of them. I got burned on all the DC ones. Well, I didn't watch the last couple because I don't trust them. And they had bad reviews, and I'm like, yeah, they probably earned those bad reviews. And
yeah.
I'm just tired of Marvel movies, too. I'm tired of most movies. I don't know. There's some movies we watch at home that I like, but I have no desire to go to the movie theater.
So no interest in Deadpool 2? Or?
Yeah, I'm not sure. No? I'm not sure.
No.
I don't know.
As in the Phoenix Saga?
No, not at all.
No? Okay.
Maybe on the Deadpool 2.
Yeah, Deadpool 2.
Not really interested at all in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think, doesn't Disney technically own Deadpool 2 now? Are they going to go back and, like, change things?
No.
Or are they going to leave it be?
No, they like money. So they're not going to mess with an R-rated superhero film that does incredibly at the box office.
Yeah.
So
gosh, I hope not.
So
maybe I'll see it. We'll see. I don't know. I'm kind of I'm really heavy into sequel fatigue right now.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like, I don't know.
And I can understand that because I mean, we do get a lot of these superhero films right now. I think in 2016 we kind of hit like the wave point of
this is too many.
Having a tsunami of them. We had like probably like 8 or 9 that year.
And I think to a degree I don't know, lost some interest in superheroes. I still love comics, but I'm not interested in the superhero comics anymore. And I walk by and I'm like, oh, that looks like trash.
Well, there's so much.
What are they doing?
Well, that's the
then,
problem.
Like the movies, is just like there's so many of them. It's just I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
They've overplayed their hand.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I'm as long as they can find some new direction to take them, I'm cool with it. Because I mean, if they're burned out, it'll burn out. People will get tired of it.
I think people are getting tired of it, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, and if they just keep on doing like the same tired shtick, I'm sure that will happen because it did happen with Transformers.
I think even if you make it a good movie, people are just gonna get tired of seeing the same kind of characters over and over again.
Yeah.
Or the same kind of concept where it's superheroes. Yeah, maybe every once in a while you just want to see more realistic people. I don't know.
Yeah, and those films are out there. There's tons I can recommend right now that you can go and
I know.
see.
It's just none of them are blockbusters.
No, but that's always been.
They're harder to hear about.
Yeah.
And so you don't know about them as much, and no one talks about them.
That's why I try to talk about them.
Well, didn't you say, like, no one at your work watched Twin Peaks or something like that?
No! I brought in a picture of Laura Palmer for my Halloween costume of Dale Cooper, and everyone in the office, like 80% of the office is older than I am, and no one knew who I was talking about.
They just thought you were very well dressed that day.
And I really like coffee.
Well, you do.
Well, I do, but I was carrying it around the whole time. So.
Yeah. But I bet they just thought, wow, does Mark have an interview? Should we be worried?
You better watch out.
Did they treat you, like, extra nice the next day? Like, hey, Mark, have a cookie. I don't know.
They treat me nice every
Don't
day.
leave me.
But yeah, if you're fatigued, obviously you're gonna stop seeing it. But if you are kind of still within the Marvel Cinematic Universe and you're hoping that they're gonna have like a good film, this is definitely one of the. I think this is probably up there with like the highest of the MCU. Like I would probably put it right up there with like Iron Man.
So like, here's the other thing. I'm not actually a fan of Marvel comics to begin with. I was more DC and the independent comics.
Yeah, same here.
You know, like the smaller comics, and so I don't care as much about the characters coming to life. And so when I see them, the first few movies they were good, although actually some of the Iron Mans were kind of poorly done, and I think
2 was.
The second Thor movie was forgettable.
Yeah.
But they're all right. But that's the same reason I won't bother watching Spider-Man anymore. They've just overdone it.
Yeah, and that's...
How many times can you make movies about these same characters or reboot the same franchise over and over again? I don't care anymore. I'm not going to watch it.
And that's the...
I'm not paying for it.
That's the huge problem with this, because you get the tsunami, and then eventually when we do make a good Spider-Man, which we did, no one really is going to want to go see it.
Yeah, I don't care anymore.
Because that's the problem.
I'm not interested in seeing, it's Uncle Ben, and well, I don't care anymore. I don't want to see it anymore.
Thankfully, there's no Uncle Ben. So.
Oh, they got rid of Uncle Ben?
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah?
It's like Civil War,
Gone completely?
Only hot Aunt May.
Marissa Tomei?
Yep.
Marissa Tomei rhymes with hot Aunt May.
That's...
His new father figure is Tony Stark. Which is uncomfortable. Not seeing that movie though. Sorry. I don't care anymore. Not
to spoil too much, but I did like the fact that there is no actual, up until like the very, like the expected post credit Easter egg. There's really no outsider Marvel characters in here, so it feels its own thing.
So how many Easter eggs did they have?
Only two.
Just remember, we went to see Guardian of the Galaxy, and they kept going. I'm like, what are there going to be, like 5 of them? And then there were 5.
There were 5.
There were exactly 5, and that was the number I guessed. And I was like, that was joking.
You psychic?
What the hell?
I get so excited now whenever I stay after these like big blockbusters, and there is no post-credit scene. Just because it's so much fun to watch the disappointment on everyone's face.
Disappointment. I'd be relieved at this point. The Guardian of the Galaxy Easter eggs were way overkill.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you like Easter eggs? Well, here's 5 of them.
It's like, I like 1, maybe 2 Easter eggs if they're really well done. Like at the end of Moana, when they have the crab on his back, and he's like, I bet if I had a cool Jamaican accent, then you'd help me.
Yeah.
Did you like my song? I know it was the...
Did you like... Oh, no. If I bet if I was red and named Sebastian, you'd be helping me.
No, if I were red and I had a cool Jamaican accent, then you'd help me.
Yep.
The other part that I thought, did you like my song, was after she left him.
Yeah.
Right after. But yeah.
I think...
Oh, and then after he made this Sebastian reference, then he's like, Shiny! And then he fell off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think probably my favorite one with the MCU was...
Spoilers for Moana.
was for the first Guardians of the
Seen it
Galaxy.
like 20 times, so... What?
That was probably the first Guardians of the Galaxy, the post-credit Easter egg there.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
That was the one where
Oh, that's with the Collector, wasn't it?
Yeah, with the Collector sitting there and all his junk, and then Howard the Duck.
That was a good Easter egg. Yeah.
Oh, I
That
laughed.
was good.
I laughed uncontrollably when that happened when I first saw that.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think probably up there with that would probably be the first one from Iron Man. Drove everyone nuts. So.
Because he's like, you know what? I am Iron Man. Bum, 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 bum.
Yep. Well, that was right before the credits. And then after that,
the Easter egg, I can't remember.
No, that was the ending, and then the post-credit Easter egg was he comes home and Fury's there saying like, "Hey, want to start the Avengers?" And then everyone lost their shit.
Okay.
Because oh man, there's gonna be an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
So what else to that? But yeah, I'm more of a DC guy, so like these Marvel films, I'm not as well versed with them, so they got to impress me. And Black Panther did. It let you into its world without having to know a whole lot.
The DC movies have been so disappointing. Why, DC?
Yeah.
Why do you torture me so?
And yeah, because there's that big campaign where they say like, oh, these critics, they hate DC. I love DC. I want DC to work, but they're not.
They're just crap. I wanted to love Suicide Squad, and it was so boring. I even talked to a guy at a game store like I liked it, and he probably thought I was the biggest idiot
you see, you're on
met.
You're on that level with Suicide Squad. I'm kind of on the same level with Justice League, where it's like I dug most of it, and I'm kind of on like I'm teetering on the edge. It's like, okay, some of the stuff's working. It's the stuff I want to see in a Justice League film because
I would love to see a Justice League film with I cannot think tonight. Cyborg.
Yeah.
Cyborg in it. But the movie looked so bad.
The thing is, he's good in it. But...
Aquaman looks good too, but the movie just looks bad. I don't want to sit through it.
And that's the problem is that it feels such like a prologue film where they're trying to rush through all these introductions. Because Cyborg's actually he's really cool. He's really cool in the film. There's great moments with the Flash. He makes most of the role work. There's some
Flash could be fun too, but. The way they do Batman and Superman in these movies is just uncharacteristic and terrible.
Yeah,
so...
they're getting closer. Like the thing is that I kind of like seeing about these DC films.
I did hear they added more color to Superman's costume to make him more the character he is.
Yeah.
But...
Not only that, they even forewent the black and white suit that a lot of people thought he was going to wear.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is, he actually was considering it in one of the deleted scenes.
Yeah.
So they're kind of it's weird. It's kind of like watching a child take its first steps, and it's like it's stumbling, but it's almost getting there.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to have any money by the time they get there. Because no one's going to want to see any of their movies anymore.
Which is why I really hope that they pick up the ball with their next Justice League film. Because the problem with this Justice League was it felt like rehearsal.
That's not good.
Because like it's a doomsday scenario, but they're fighting Steppenwolf. It's like Steppenwolf wasn't really of note.
I don't even remember him. It's that bad. And I'm way familiar with, Apocalypse types art.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're familiar.
Darkseid is a main villain in the cartoon show. The fabulous early 2000s Justice League show, which I've seen more times than I'd care to, if I'm being completely honest, because my kid loves that show. But.
Well, I used to watch it on repeat in college, so I never get tired of that show. So.
I watched it when it originally aired, but I didn't watch all the episodes because I didn't have cable at the time. I watched it with you a couple times before we had the kid, but then she wanted to watch it all the time, which of course, we do put our foot down, but it's like, I probably make it sound like our kid watches nonstop TV where
No.
realistically she watches maybe one episode of something a night. So,
Yeah.
and not every night. So.
No, and not every night. And, we tend to watch, like, new films with her and everything, so.
It's just like if it's raining on a summer day, what are you going to do?
It's
Well,
winter.
just
What you
sitting-
going to do?
It's winter,
Yeah.
We're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
She hates puzzles, so we can
Yeah.
read or we can watch something. Or we can do
But yeah,
homework.
because you've seen all of Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series
Yeah.
and Justice League.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you watch it, you kind of have to have an eye out for Steppenwolf. Because he appears every now and then, but you really have to look in the background for him. And
He's less of a character than Granny Goodness is.
Yeah.
Granny Goodness would have made more sense, to be completely honest.
he's
Granny Goodness with the female Furies.
Yep.
I think that's what they're called. Yeah.
the
That would have been way more interesting.
could you imagine that if Granny Goodness
Furies?
was the main villain?
Granny Goodness.
That would have been amazing.
Granny Goodness. I would go. You could get me to another superhero movie if Granny Goodness was the villain.
Oh man, if she
she
might,
was.
if the next film they do, they're gonna do Darkseid, which means they're gonna do Apocalypse, which means there's a
Yeah,
higher chance for Granny Goodness.
And I mean, Apocalypse would be okay, but he can be he's a very like,
Darkseid. Yeah.
Darkseid. He's not a very like energetic villain.
No.
He's very subdued, very
Yeah.
stoic. So you need Granny Goodness there.
But he's very, because that's the thing, like,
Granny.
because like Darkseid, in terms of his schemes, he's
Yeah.
actually he's a really thoughtful and kind of cool villain in that aspect.
Yeah, he is.
Because if you watch like Superman the Animated Series, most of the time he wins kind of more by moral attrition, I guess. Because the thing is, like, his initial plans would be foiled by Superman,
Mm-hmm.
but he'd always kind of leave going like, well, I still chipped away at you. Because everybody remembers that dramatic scene where, when he first comes to invade Earth,
Yeah.
and he leaves, and just before he does, he kills Dan Turpin.
Yep.
In front of everyone.
Exactly, yeah. Well, and here's the other thing. I'm sorry, I just realized that our kid stuck a bunch of stickers on my purse. And then it threw me off. I thought they were teasing for Brainiac in the last DCU movie I saw.
In
Near the end somewhere. They mentioned
Batman v
something.
Superman?
Yeah, I think so. Didn't they tease for Brainiac somewhere in there? Or maybe I just assumed Brainiac would be next for some reason.
Not quite. I mean, there was a lot of forebodings for Darkseid. I could see where you might get that because
they had the boom tube and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right.
So that did make sense. But then they didn't have Darkseid, they had Steppenwolf, so
Yeah. And again, like, it feels like rushed rehearsal because they just kind of quickly explain the boom tubes in Apocalypse.
well, maybe they want to bring in Darkseid first and then have him screw over Brainiac later.
Possibly. I could see why you might think that, just because like they still have like the downed ship from Superman.
Yeah. Well, that's why I thought maybe Brainiac got on there somehow. I don't know.
He could, like, honestly, what I think might happen is if they don't have him in the next film, they might allude to it with the ship, because they might do something with Superman's ship that's still there, and they could like just have like a little post-credit sequence where you see like the triangle rise out of the ooze and everything, and it's like, oh shit, Brainiac's gone.
Well, it would be interesting to see which form of Brainiac that they used.
Yeah.
If they used, I would think they would go the full android-looking one.
This full they
Maybe
might
like a full CGI one. I can think of them going that way, but to do the more like organic form that he eventually has
with the green face and the dome and all that.
Yeah, maybe like a more modern-looking version of that might be interesting too.
That would actually be pretty cool.
It'd be different.
Yeah.
Because you'd be expecting the more mechanical-looking one.
Yeah.
That seems to be like the dark route that they had been doing.
Yeah.
But if they want to go and make it the lighter Superman and be more in character for Superman, I think it'd be almost more interesting to have the more organic-looking Brainiac.
Yeah. So then you could have some charisma to him.
Yeah, and I'm not talking, super friends.
No.
But yeah, it'd be more interesting. The actor would be more expressive.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Brainiac in the cartoon, of course, has no facial expressions.
Yeah, but that's what's actually kind of made him intimidating because he was very cold and calculative.
And amazingly, they didn't have to alter the voice actor's voice.
Yeah.
That robotic, weird, creepy voice is his voice.
It's like, okay, quit doing the Brainiac voice. What are you talking about? This is how I normally speak.
That's terrifying.
So I'm just trying to imagine him going his day-to-day life. Just go to Starbucks, like, I would like a dark roast, please.
It's like if they have another Justice League movie, if they actually get to do it, to have Darkseid and Brainiac in the same movie could work.
Yeah.
If they did it right and they didn't rush parts of it.
Well, what it sounds like might be happening, and it's kind of out there just because it was the post-credit sequence that made everyone lose their shit at Justice League, was they alluded to the Legion of Supervillains happening.
Yeah, the Legion of Doom. You told me about that. You told me that Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor.
Full-on Lex.
They kept him for some reason.
Joker
Lex. They kept the Joker Lex, and you told me he said, "Why don't we have one of those?" To who was he talking to?
He was talking to Deathstroke.
Was it Will Smith, Deathstroke? Or no, wait, that's Deadshot.
That's Deadshot. Yeah.
I get those two mixed up because they're
similar
designs, and but is which one did Deadpool rip off? That's Deadshot that Deadpool ripped off, right?
No, it's Deathstroke because he's got the swords. So
yeah, that's Slade.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
And they actually have him like take off the mask and everything, and he looks like Slade.
They had to call him Slade in Teen Titans because they couldn't use Deathstroke in the name apparently.
And they couldn't have him kill off all the Teen Titans either.
Like he does in the comics.
Yeah. Yeah, for those who don't know, there's the running joke in the Teen Titans comics is that Deathstroke would basically kill off just about every member of the Teen Titans because he was a supervillain with swords and he used the swords a lot.
Yeah, so if Justice League skips over their usual DC movie bullshit and does something like that, I'll go see it. I might see it for the Legion of Doom. Depending on how they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm a
little nervous about what's going on with Joker. So, I mean...
That's kind of up in the air.
Leto, I still maintain Leto could have been good if
he was given a movie.
Left off the tattoos, give out the man a shirt.
Yeah.
And, there's like maybe one character difference.
Yeah.
And if they had left him in the flippin' movie, they cut almost all of his scenes, so Jared Leto was super pissed too. So.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Is like this kind of Joker doesn't really fit with kind of like David Ayer's vision for a Suicide Squad film.
They should have kept in the Joker that, the original Joker Harley dynamic. Mm-hmm. It would have still, I think it would have, still made sense. That she's all like, oh, Puddin'. Because that's the character. Mm-hmm. But it's not a two-sided relationship.
No.
She's a sidekick. She's a sidekick. That's the other thing. I don't like what they've done with Harley.
That's the most depressing.
She's a sidekick. Come on.
That's the most depressing thing about Suicide Squad is because David Ayer is good at making films about a-holes, and here he can't really make them a-holes.
We're the bad guys. We're the bad guys. Show, not tell.
Yeah.
Come on.
He never had to do that with End of Watch or Training Day, so come on.
That's because he wasn't dealing with this franchise that wanted things, and people want Harley to be some kind of, I don't know, feminist hero now, and almost not even a villain anymore.
Well, she's a character you like, but they're trying to restructure her to make her more likable.
They don't understand what goes into being an anti-hero.
Yeah.
And they don't understand what people liked about her character, I don't think.
Yeah.
Or what her original fans liked about her character.
Yeah.
I know what the fans of Arkham Asylum probably liked about her character.
Yeah.
But what people originally liked about her character is probably a little different. I don't know.
Well, I love the fact that somebody made an argument that like look, they had to redesign Harley Quinn for the Suicide Squad movie because you can't make a modern version of her costume, and then look at
They had the costume in the movie. What are you talking about?
no
They had a scene of her in her real costume in the movie with the Joker. They did the flippin' Alex Ross costume in the movie for like a short snippet of a scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they do it briefly. It's kind of like acknowledgement scene. Like I said, the thing with Killmonger is putting on the mask just for a little bit, and then
Well, the
go
thing
back.
is, in that scene, they were both completely in character at the same time too.
Yeah.
Like you could tell the dementedness of her character. Like you could tell the obsession and stuff from the way she was acting, because it was not silent.
No.
And she was moving,
Yeah.
but they were doing the pose. But like she's like, you know, like that is in character.
Yeah.
You know, but
But
the
it feels
rest
like
of that wasn't Harley.
It's because it feels like a lifetime ago for them. So,
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, or a different dimension.
A different dimension sounds a little closer.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you go from being covered in face tattoos with the open shirt and stuff, and then go to the full tuxedo look as well?
Because, like...
you're bouncing. Very versatile, this Joker.
Because, like, do you remember her outfit in Assault on Arkham?
Vaguely.
Because that was actually a really good...
Did they just change the headpiece, I think, maybe?
Just a little bit. They kind of made her outfit a little bit more breathable.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like what a modern revision of her costume would look like without betraying it.
Yeah.
So it's like it worked here. I don't know why you couldn't make it work in the film.
I don't know. They wanted her to make her look dirty, apparently.
Yeah. But that's been like the argument throughout, is that, you know, these animated films, because they're made by people who like the comics, who've read the comics, who understand the comics, and who want to put the best version of the comics up on the screen, they understand how to make a DC film. And so all these executives are just like, yeah, we gotta do what works, you know?
I think if you think about it, though, the comics don't care about their fans anymore. They don't want their original fan base anymore.
True.
It's throwing them in the garbage.
But that's what made Tim's team so great, was they kind of cared about the comics. At the same time, they wanted to make a good show or a good film.
Exactly, yeah. But
So-
now they just add random sex stuff in.
Yeah.
For no apparent reason.
Well, yeah, because like
in
even
poorly done ways. So-
even they've kind of fallen into this bit, because like Tim has said even that you know, because when they started out doing these DC animated films, they had a whole bunch of different versions. Like, yeah, they had Batman and Superman stuff, but they also had a Wonder Woman film, they had a Green Lantern film.
Those were good films too.
And they were really good, but they didn't sell.
No.
And so it kind of just came down to saying, like, look, we're either just going to do Batman, Superman, or Justice League now.
Yeah.
And so that's where we're getting all this weird stuff. Like, like the next one coming out is going to be Batman Ninja.
What?
Yeah, it's an anime version of Batman.
Not gonna see it.
Nah, because now we got like Gotham by Gaslight and Batman Ninjas, and it's getting like that, because even they did the whole was it Batman Unlimited, which is just like, you know, goofy toy Batman.
That's hilarious.
So they're just gonna keep doing this till they run out of material, and then I don't know, maybe they'll convince him to go back and do other stuff.
Did you see? Do you remember on Batman Brave and the Bold when Batmite's trying to get the show canceled so he can have his gritty, dark Batman, and he's like, Batman with the dumb toy gear that he would never wear.
Ski Luge Batman.
Yeah, Ski Luge Batman.
Was it the? Yeah, all the other different toys of wacky colors, stuff like that. Yeah, that was kind of like a throw anything at the screen. But that was Brave and the Bold in a nutshell.
Yeah, I love that show.
Which is
great.
Anything goes. Anything we want to put from Batman Silver Age, we're throwing it up on the screen. Which is why it was so much fun.
Oh, it was so much fun. Like the Music Meister. I think I was listening to a clip of that the other day. You know, it's the Music Monster.
It's good. It's a great song.
Neil Patrick Harris. Yeah, that was good.
I made that show. Right? Man, we're just talking about DC stuff and Marvel.
Yeah, I know. We bring you in with the Marvel one viewer, but you stay for the DC because I don't know. Marvel makes better movies than DC, but at least DC used to make better comics. I don't know anymore, but I mean, I haven't been reading them. That's why I say that.
I read a few of them.
A lot of comics don't look that appealing to me anymore.
I think, at least from what I've read with the new Superman stuff, which is actually pretty good. It's doing a lot better than Marvel right now, apparently. So
with the comics,
yeah, in terms of sales.
Well, that's because I don't know. Have you looked on the when we go to the comic book store? Just pick a couple up and browse them and tell me what you think.
Yeah,
I have heard of a few good titles. They're not really my type of thing either, though. Like they sounded good. There was a Cable book that was pretty good. Okay. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, most of the Deadpool Cable stuff has been pretty cool. So.
But I'm not I don't know. I'm not into like super actiony stuff. More into like more fantastical stuff.
Ah, so kind of more like the what's DC's brand? Vertigo. They kind of do more like the psychological and horror stuff.
Yeah, that's more my bag, I think. Yeah. I think we have a few Vertigo comics that I enjoy.
Yeah. It was weird when DC did when New 52 and they did stuff like Animal Man and Swamp Thing. Yeah. Because those were like are you sure this isn't Vertigo? Cuz it's really like warped horror and just this bizarre artwork of like faces melding into stuff and going to different dimensions. And...
See, that's what I like. I like the bizarre artwork and stuff. I find comic books to be a type of art form because, you know, there are a lot of pictures and I have a hard time reading things and doing pictures at the same time. So, you know, sometimes I just go through and look at the pictures separate so that I can understand what's going on. But, like, I buy comics. I've bought comics specifically for the artwork. Yeah. Well, that's... Well, I showed this one off before, but I'm going to show it again.
That's a damn good book.
Oh, it's
I've
gorgeous.
read some of it, yeah.
I have Newt. And it's just, it's just gorgeous. Let's see.
Well, some of the bigger spreads, they kind of have kind of like a storybook format to that, where it's kind of like 2 or 3 frames.
Well, it's basically some King Arthur kind of stuff. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot like those. Because I was mentioning to you, I think it was like Book of Magic had kind of like a similar layout. So yeah. I love when they do that with fantasy.
That one too, if you still have it.
That's really good.
So gorgeous. That's why I had to buy this book.
But most of the comics are just kind of like outside the norm for us because I really dig the Hanna-Barbera stuff. Yeah. Yes. That stuff's a lot of fun.
We've said that before. The Flintstones one was pretty funny.
Flintstones is amazing. I want to kind of get back onto it because I kind of lost track of it. But Quest World, I thought was pretty good. We need to go
to the comic book store.
Yeah, we do.
This weekend.
Because last time we got Dastardly Muttley.
Yeah, but last time I spent like $60, but I had Christmas money. Yeah. So.
Then I splurged on the manga table, the boatload of manga.
Yeah, I still need to finish reading some of those. I've been busy, so yeah. I have a hard time reading at home. Too many distractions.
I can't wait because you've watched Full Metal Alchemist, haven't you?
Parts of it.
Okay. Because I can't wait to, because there's a really great joke that a lot of people like to tell with it, so.
Okay. Well, I will. We've got the first 5. I have not, I think I skimmed one of them. I've been reading some other, like, chapter books and stuff. Sure. And I've been trying to read. I have Newt, but fortunately I can read that one to our daughter. Otherwise, I don't really read at home. I read in the car. Waiting to go pick her kid up, or like while I'm in waiting in the parent area to pick up my kid up from school, or when I take a lunch break at work.
Yeah.
But I've been really busy at work.
When you
so
can.
I haven't been reading a whole lot lately.
Yeah, when you can.
Yeah.
So yeah, read it when you can. You find time to get in on those comics.
The smaller comics are a little quicker to go through, although they're mostly ads. So I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
So I buy the bigger ones usually. The full run.
The trades.
Yeah, the trades.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, like Marvel comics are kind of all over the place right now, so I'm hesitant to pick them up, especially kind of since I don't know if they still do this, but most of the Marvel comics would have like a recap page.
Oh really?
Yeah, where you would flip it open and they would say like
that one in a while.
Which is
guess. I don't know. This covers don't even really look appealing to me.
Yeah,
so.
It's kind of convenient because if you're just picking up on the story, but at the same time you got to read through like 3 paragraphs before you get into it.
Well, I tried to like Squirrel Girl because it looked funny to me when I at first glance, but the art got really bad.
Yeah.
And some of it's just kind of dumb.
Yeah. That can happen, especially the artwork. You're not, especially if they bring in like sometimes they'll bring in like a guest artist.
Yeah.
And it just kind of like messes you up on what you wanted to read. So you're just like, ugh, I don't know if I can keep up with you now.
Well, and I'm just a very visual person, so if the art's crap, I'm not gonna read it.
Sure.
For a comic book, that's half of what it is.
Yeah.
Is art.
Writing and art. Yeah.
So if the art's crap, it doesn't matter if it's a good story to me, and if the story's crap, then it doesn't matter if the art's good either.
Yeah.
So,
that's actually why I stopped reading Justice League Dark. Is because I think it was Justice League Dark. Yeah, there's a scene where one of the characters has a collection of comic books, and some of them are literally just like digital copies of the comic books plastered in on the frame, and I'm just like, nope, I ain't dealing with that. If you want to put them in there, you draw them. You don't do this copy paste BS. I ain't doing that. Oh, you draw those covers. Come on. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean the Hanna-Barbera comics are a lot of fun to pick up. Go out and support it. I know it's like free comic book days now for like 3 months, but go out and support them. We actually got one close by to us. You might be surprised how many comic book shops you got.
And they need the support too. A lot of them are losing money hand over fist because of Marvel's practices. So. Oh
well, Marvel and then
Marvel is killing comic book stores right now.
What's the I think Diamond is the company that does most of the distribution. They kind of put dealers over a barrel sometimes.
Well, because I guess they make them buy more books than they really want to, or if you want to get this book, you have to buy these ones.
Yeah.
But then apparently Marvel overships too on purpose to inflate their numbers or something. So it's like, wow.
And I almost wonder
no one's buying a lot of these books that have been coming out too.
Well,
so
I almost wonder if like they do that because like Marvel releases like 3 films a year, and I wonder if they just they ship them out because they have the intention that if the film's out, then they'll come and buy the Marvel comics.
But they don't release comic books that really relate to the movies that are coming out.
No, but they want to get that advertising. That's why whenever they come out, they'll always be like huge ads in them for like the film, and they're hoping that people come there and buy a comic book. Very few times has it ever worked. The only time that it's ever like boosted sales a little bit was with The Dark Knight, and that's only because The Dark Knight, everyone saw The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Everyone got into Batman at that point, so you'd expect there'd be an uptick in Batman comics, and there were, but not as large as you might think. Like it sold quite a large number of copies, but not as many, not like in the millions. So that's the sad truth. But I get the feeling that Marvel might be trying to do that. It's like if a film's coming out, quickly ship more copies because everyone's going to come in there and buy them, and they might buy a few, but they might not either. So, and more often than not, they don't.
Well, part of the problem also is that comic books are specialty stores. When my dad was a kid, you'd go down to the grocery store or the convenience store or something, and you go down to your corner store, pay a nickel, and there you got your comic book. So,
yep.
Quarter at the most, probably.
Yeah. Well,
now they're $5 books that you need to buy at a specialty store.
Yeah.
and
Well,
half
you
of
can-
it's ads.
You can get some at Barnes and Noble, but because it seems like they're not as keen to be as up to date with the publisher, they'll be like a few weeks behind.
Well, and how many Barnes and Nobles do you see around these days?
Not that many.
I
A few
know of
carry 'em.
like 2.
Yeah.
In this, within 10 miles.
Mhm.
So,
And they won't carry a lot either. You can tell like they just like bought like a few just to have in their stock, because
Yeah.
they'll usually be at like the on like a little end cap, or just like the smallest part of like the magazine
yeah.
trays.
By
So,
the other periodicals.
yeah. So that's sad nature. But I think it's mostly just because most people just they save up for trades.
Well,
And-
that, and like I said, the primary audience for comic books, it used to be kids, it
Mhm.
used to be easily available, and it used to be cheap.
Yep.
And it's not anymore.
Well, it's the
A lot of
convenience.
them aren't really directed or aimed towards kids at all.
No.
There is a kids section of the main comic book store we go to where I steer my kid towards.
Yeah.
But that's like a couple shelves. Whereas
Mhm.
I mean, it used to, like, comic books were primarily for children.
Yeah.
You know.
That's just the way it goes. Just because most adults are the ones who are going to be going out there and buying them, just because of the convenience.
Yeah.
Of
It's too inconvenient for a kid to go get a comic book. It was so hard when I was a kid to get comic books. I mean, we had a lot of comic books, but they were from when my dad was a kid, because he kind of just held on to things a lot
Yeah.
at that time.
It's the same thing with our kid.
I read Little Lulu until she fell apart. So, just kind of eroded. That was a sad day. A sad
Little
day.
Lulu. Why?
So this one where she went to summer camp, it was pretty good stuff.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I dig some of those. What were the other
Harvey
characters?
Comics.
And Lulu.
The other characters
Yeah.
was Tubby,
There's Tubby.
Little Lottie,
Mhm.
Dot, Casper, Little Audrey. A lot of
Yeah.
them started with Little.
Yeah.
Little Huey.
Baby Huey.
Oh, Baby Huey. Spooky,
Mm-hmm.
Wendy, the witch.
Yeah, Wendy the Witch.
Oh, I know there's more.
The
There's maybe a few more.
Richie. Did
Richie
you do Richie
Rich?
Rich? Yeah.
Richie Rich.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
I don't know. Oh, Hot Stuff.
Ah, that's right.
The little devil
Yeah.
character.
It
Yeah.
was pretty cool. I was actually
Yeah, that's
watching
good stuff.
some of the.
Did you watch the cartoon?
Yeah, actually, I have a few tapes of some of the old Harvey cartoon
I wanna
shorts
watch that.
they did. Some of them are pretty good. Some of the
I've seen a few of them before. I've seen most of the Casper movies too.
yeah.
I told you that before. Hopefully not on stream. I'd hate to be repeating ourselves all the time or something. But
No,
but yeah, I watched cartoons. I read the books. I watched the Casper movies. I had a Casper computer game. It wasn't very good.
yeah. They tried to. I actually it's kind of tough to go back and watch Casper now, but well, the film obviously,
Yeah.
but
We haven't showed that one to our kid.
yeah. But yeah, like when I watch some of those Harvey cartoons, some of those actually do hold up really well.
Well, they're just
So-
cute little things. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know you said Baby Huey annoyed you though.
Baby Huey annoyed me just because it's kind of like the one bit of like, which way did he go, George type thing. So
Which way did he go, George? Which way did he go?
and it's either you kind of dig their antics or you don't, and most are just like that's Baby Huey's dumb and
Yeah.
doesn't have as much fun slapstick. So
Well, hey, Wendy the Witch is just Casper with women instead of fat ghosts. I don't know.
yeah, was the Simpsons theory that Casper is the ghost of Richie Rich?
I don't remember any crossovers, so but maybe my dad didn't have that issue.
Have you ever seen them in the same room? I don't think
Because
so.
I know that a bunch of my dad had a lot of comic books, but a lot of them were missing covers because his nephews either ripped them off because my grandmother would let them.
Mm-hmm.
They destroyed some of his comics because she let him
because they were
them
old
and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, my cousins are all closer to my dad's age than my age, but or you could buy comics in the 50s without their covers. In the late 50s, early 60s, when these comics are from, you could buy them cheaper without their covers.
Yeah.
So that's another reason. So some of his comics are in okay condition, and the rest are just cheese.
Yeah. Because remember, comics...
They were kept in a basement for several decades. So.
Because I know the place we used to have here called Comic College used to do that. They used to have an entire cheese section with a lot of pretty good stuff. There was like Donald Duck comics in there.
Yeah, they're just not worth a whole lot.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And they kind of smell weird.
Yeah, they're deteriorating. They smell apart. But, 50 cents,
Yeah.
Don't mind reading a little Donald Duck if it's not that great.
I hear Donald Duck is really big over in one of those northern European countries, one of the Scandinavians, I think.
Probably. Because those and the DuckTales comic books are...
DuckTales?
Those are some of like the best Disney comics ever made, man. There's a reason why DuckTales is a great animated series. It's because it's based on great source material.
Why didn't we watch more of the new show? Have you been watching it without me?
Oh, I haven't. That kind of fell off my radar. Yeah, I should watch more of that.
David Tennant.
Yeah, because we watched the pilot, and the pilot was amazing.
Yeah.
I dug DuckTales.
Yeah. Just cry to some DuckTales.
Ooh. Solve a mystery or rewrite history. Whoa. Slow down.
Time machine? What?
Okay, lads, I know you want to solve a mystery, but let's not jump to craziness here with time machines.
But what if they finally get to do it? They kill Hitler. But then how will they know to go back in time and kill Hitler?
Yeah.
Questions must be answered. He must be destroyed.
That might not be entirely out of like the wheelhouse or like those DuckTale comic books. It might have happened. Because they did some pretty crazy stuff in there. Like people have mentioned how they thought about Inception before Inception. So
wow.
Yeah, they had a whole sequence where they went into, I think, Scrooge's dreams with some weird machine and tried to tinker with it. So
they must deal with these existential questions.
Probably.
With ducks.
Well, the writers were thinking, because they weren't just saying like, oh, what'll make a cute, little Disney comic? It's like, no, what would be a real awesome, real neat thing to do with Scrooge McDuck and Huey, Dewey, and Louie?
I'm surprised Disney lets them get away with that, but yeah.
Just let the writers have at it.
That's good. You need to give writers room to breathe.
Which is good, yeah. Some of the best Disney comics ever made, so it wasn't just like them just kind of putting their stuff out there and seeing what happens, kind of like with Looney Tunes. Because like Looney Tune comics, they're okay, but there's no real reason to go back and read most of them. So.
Yeah, it's like when Looney Tunes basically ripped off Muppet Babies. That show was so dull compared to Muppet Babies.
They didn't even try. They just called it Baby Looney Tunes. It's like whatever. Looney Tunes, they're in diapers.
Although Granny did make more sense than Nanny, so
yeah.
Because Granny was a pre-established character, and who the hell's Nanny?
Yeah.
Why is she there?
Well, it seems like you'd be hampering them too, because there doesn't
socks. What?
There doesn't seem as much fun stuff you could do with Baby Looney Tunes.
No.
I mean, with Muppet Babies, it was interesting because like because for one they tested it because they did Muppets in Manhattan. They had that little dream sequence. It was cute. Well, the song.
I'm gonna be a movie star, and I'm gonna learn to drive a car. Be a veterinarian too, and I think I'll always love you.
Cutest part in that film. That's why they made Muppet Babies.
That was an adorable scene.
Because everyone saw that scene and they're just like, I need more of this now. And they gave it to them.
Man, do you remember? Did you watch that Robot Chicken with Skeeter and Rita? What is Scooter and Skeeter?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, I am Skeeter. So like, whatever happened to Skeeter?
Actually, what did happen to him? Because he's not in the new Muppet Babies.
She.
Well, Skeeter and Scooter.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're
They're-
not in the new. Scooter wasn't in the new Muppets.
No.
Because Scooter was the dude. Skeeter was the sister, right?
Skeeter was his sister, yeah, and Scooter
Yeah.
was so.
Yeah. So like, I think Skeeter was just so that there was another female character,
Yeah.
and so she wasn't in the Muppet show.
No.
But then when they made the new Muppet movies, they cut out Scooter.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, no, wait.
No, I was
Scooter.
Scooter
Scooter was in there, yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's never been like a
Just
Skeeter
wasn't that
Muppet.
much in there.
Yeah.
There's no Skeeter though.
Yeah. Well, it's actually weird
No
because
Skeeter.
there's a Muppet Show comic book which actually does have Skeeter in there.
Oh no!
So it's the first time they ever did like an adult Skeeter.
Yeah. So in that Robot Chicken thing, it was like I think it was like a parody of I Know What You Did Last Summer or something like that. Where it's like they killed her or something.
Okay.
I don't know. Robot Chicken doesn't really make sense.
It's Robot Chicken. You know, they go for the gross out and the violence. You know, let the mind wander wild with their satire. So
yeah,
that's what they do.
As Chris Green plays with or Seth Green plays with
dolls.
I call him Chris Green because he's played Chris, a guy named Chris in 2 different movies.
Yeah.
Or like he plays Chris Griffin, but then he plays. Wasn't his character named Chris in Austin Powers? I can't remember. Now I'm probably
Scott.
wrong. Oh, it's Scott.
Yeah. Scott.
See, I'm wrong.
Just not evil enough.
Yes.
You play with dolls.
You're the Diet Coke of evil. That's been so long since I've seen that.
Those, at least the first 2 hold up for me.
See, Mike Myers was cautious about movies after The Love Gurus.
Well, I think he got carried away because Austin Powers he wrote in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And he felt like, oh man, if I can write a hit film like that in 3 weeks, what else can I do?
Yeah, reuse the same jokes.
Yeah.
If all your characters tell the same jokes, you're probably doing something wrong.
Yeah, because the second one, it's more of the same, but there's kind of a revision, mostly a revision on it, where you kind of dig it most of the time. And then the third one's just like, it's complete rehashing. So there's...
Well, the third one is just like, hey, look, it's Beyonce.
Yeah. I mean, like, he tries to add new stuff. Like, he tries to do, like, Goldmember and throw a little Michael Caine in there, see if that works.
Yeah, Michael Caine is he's always good.
Yeah,
he always brings his A game.
I put him in the same category as Dwayne Johnson. Because...
Yeah.
Well, because both actors, they have a lot of charisma, and they throw everything they have into roles. There's never one where they just kind of, like, phone it in.
There's another actor we said did that, too, though, didn't we? We were talking about... There's another actor who always brings his A game even when he's in ridiculous shit. It's gonna bother me now.
What film?
Tim Curry. Not Tim Curry. I'm so bad with names today. My brain's broken. Tim Curry always brings his A game.
Yeah.
So maybe him.
Well, mostly, yeah, like a lot of like the classically trained British actors. You know, they take their job seriously. So even though you're gonna be in a kind of dorky nothing role, you still put everything you have into it. Like that's kind of like why I like Patrick Stewart in Safe House. I mean, Safe House is a ridiculously terrible film, but he went for it because he's supposed to say lines like because he's supposed to be playing this grumpy guy who has to be under like a house arrest or like protected by this CIA agent or whatever, and she basically says like oh, how about you put on your clothes and then we'll go out and get the mail. And so like no, you're gonna go get the mail and go fuck yourself. And he would deliver that line so well. You know, it's stupid character.
How about his role as Poop?
As Poop, he tries, but he's got no good lines.
Oh.
He tries, and I held out hope for him in the Emoji Movie because it's Patrick Stewart. He can do good voices, and he's trying, but they don't give him anything at all. There's no bones thrown. And like I said, they're good actors. They bring their A game, but sometimes even they can't save a film. Like Dwayne Johnson could not save Baywatch. He tried. He really tried. He threw out everything he had, but he couldn't save it because the directors didn't know what the hell they were doing. So
I already told you I'm not watching any more Sony movies.
yeah, starve on Sony movies.
They need to die.
So you're not gonna watch Jumanji? Quandary.
I'm not sure because I liked the original one.
And I'm hearing nothing but great things about the new one. So
maybe when it comes to Netflix, and I don't have to give Sony any money.
Yeah. Well, like they're pretty prompt with getting stuff on Netflix because the emoji movies on there now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you hate yourself, load up that on your queue.
Keep it away from the kids. Don't let them know it's on there. We tried very hard not to let our kid know that the Trolls movie was on there because I absolutely did not want to watch it.
Yeah.
Then those darn grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
They let her know.
Yeah.
Why did they have to do that to me?
Grandparents gotta spoil them.
And now she knows how to use the remote by herself too. So I guess there's that too. But
yeah.
I mean, we can always say no, but
yeah.
it's just still. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to come out of the bathroom and look at the TV and it's on.
Yeah.
And they made a stupid TV show that she had to watch for it too.
Yeah.
It's like, why? You know, when you're home sick and you somehow have to take care of your kid at the same time because, oh, they're sick. They don't feel sick as you do.
Yeah.
Because, like, if they get strep, they don't get it the same way.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt as much for a kid as it does for
yeah.
an adult. So I'm, like, in bed. She's like, I want to play. I want to go somewhere. No, we're sick.
Well, that's kids in a
That's
nutshell.
when she gets to watch TV all day.
Yeah.
Because I'm not getting my butt out of bed.
Yeah, that's if you remember, as a kid, that was mostly what you did.
Yeah.
Either that or, you could pull a Princess Bride on her, you could read all day.
I can't read when I have strep throat.
That's true. I'll get a text-to-speech thing.
Yeah.
It'd be great if Princess Bride just do
turn the
text-to-speech.
audiobook on.
If Stephen Hawking come in for Princess Bride.
Well, when he does voice work, he actually hooks it up to his computer.
Yep. Would you like to hear a story? Not really, Uncle Stephen. Okay, then. Here we go.
Because he had to type that all out, like a month in advance.
It's like, oh, Grandpa, is there gonna be like mushy kissing this stuff? Hey, I'm trying to type this as fast as I can. Don't interrupt. Do that for the next one.
He'll be dead by then. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I mean, I'm not trying to make a joke.
Oh, I forgot his name. I was thinking of the Theory of Everything. The composer of that film died recently, and he was like in his 40s.
Oh man, he's outliving people in their 40s.
Yeah,
He's an android. He's unstoppable.
The composer
Cyborg.
of Theory of Everything died before Hawking. He was younger.
Well, people die all the time, though.
I know. It's just like, oh man.
It's still sad, though.
Yeah.
Whenever someone dies, I think anywhere younger than like, especially when there's medical stuff everywhere, like dies in their like 60s or something like that. Even it's like,
yeah.
But they were so young.
So young.
I think it's partially because you're hoping that you have more time than that.
Yeah. So like, oh, she died. Well, how old was she? She was in her 80s. Still a young woman.
Too young. She had her whole life ahead of her.
It was like that other comedian bit where they say like, oh, if someone's 80 and they die, it's like, oh man, no, they say like, oh, if someone is in their 40s and they died, you're like, oh, they're so young. But if they're in their 70s and they die, it's like, well, they were 70. So.
I don't know. My grandparents were both on one side of my family. They were both only like 70 when they died, and everyone was still like, especially about my grandmother because she died very suddenly.
Yeah.
Like she was so young, It's like her aunt was there. Her aunt was at her funeral. That's how young comparatively she was. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's like, yeah, she was kind of young. Yeah. So, 70 is kind of young depending on where you live, I guess. Take care of yourself, because she didn't have a whole lot of health problems or anything. She died very suddenly.
All right. So the just to close out like the bit on Black Panther, there's like a kind of a questioning, like I used to do this for another website, but there's a question of, can you bring your kids to that? Because there's gonna be like a whole bunch. There's like this whole group of like organizing a bunch of kids that are gonna go see Black Panther this weekend.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is like I almost kind of say that some kids might not dig it, and it's not because it's inherent. It's like too violent, or it's not essentially more that's too violent. It's more that it's very very talky most of the time. The action's pretty cool, but the action's kind of sparingly in between a lot of this drama. So I would say if kids really dig kind of like following like fantasy lore, and they like kind of seeing like kind of like classic battles and like some small mysticism and a very like kind of focused drama, like this is probably the most dramatic film of the MCU by far. So if they can handle that, I'd say most older kids would probably dig it. So I mean, it's PG-13, obviously, make the choice for yourself, but yeah, I'd just be aware of that.
Our kid wanted to see it, and we gave a firm no. So,
yeah.
But she's very young.
She's very young. But and to be fair, like going around the press screening, there were a few kids there around like 10 or 11, and they were digging it. So.
Yeah, that's still older than our kid though. So
yeah, but
she'd be shifting in her seat. She'd be scared.
Definitely, yeah.
She'd be burying her face in you.
I would say that the cutoff would be about 10, just because I think most like 10 and 11-year-olds would be able to get involved enough in the story and the drama going on here, because it is very very inspiring, and like it gets you into its plot. So if they can follow along with that, they don't mind a little bit of talking in between all the cool action scenes, then they'll dig it. So yeah, it's not as like rip roaring and funny as all the Marvel films. Like I said, very heavy on the dramatics, and it gets a little raw at times with the topics and themes that it's going with. So just be aware of that. But if you're an adult and you're still digging the MCU, you'll definitely dig this. This is up there. So I think I rated this like 4.5 out of 5 because I really dug this film. So that's all I got to say about Black Panther. I was going to
puppy?
Talk about a dog. Hey, dog.
She doesn't usually do that.
I think I didn't see the full trailer, but they're remaking Benji.
Why?
I don't know. I guess they think there's a market for cute dog movies.
Didn't watch the original one.
You never saw Benji?
Hi, sweetie.
Oh man.
No. I saw part of Lassie once.
Benji
or
was
maybe
fun.
that was Old Yeller. I saw something with a dog in it once.
I saw a dog movie. That's a whole genre.
I saw Shiloh, or maybe I just read the book.
Shiloh's good.
I think I might have just read the book.
Airbud.
Oh, maybe I saw an older version of... I think there's maybe a couple versions of Shiloh. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a few.
I would have been a kid when I saw it, if I saw it, so...
The one from the 90s is really good.
I think that's the one I didn't see.
Oh, no? Oh.
Is there like an older one? That they might have shown in class at school?
Possibly, but I think I mostly remember the 90s version. Because that was really good.
I don't think I saw the whole movie, if it was the 90s version. I know I read the book, though, so... I can be a pretty imaginative person when I'm reading, so maybe I just pictured it.
Sure. It can happen.
Because, it would have been when I was really young, so I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to think of, I know it's belated Valentine's Day, but I wanted to try to find some of my films downstairs that had couples.
I thought about that. Oh, yesterday we should have mentioned, Valentine's Day movies, since it was Valentine's Day. Me and Mark are really unromantic people.
Well, we don't do like the typical romance stuff, so.
I don't like romance movies.
Yeah.
Generally. There's maybe a couple I do, but they're not like sugary ones.
Yeah. That's why I was trying to, because I don't collect as many romantic films, so I was trying to go find films I had that had great couples in them. Because I think I did an article for Taste magazine on unconventional romances in films. Because like the big one right now is Shape of Water. Because you got a woman getting it on with the amphibian man. So I tried to find other weird stuff like that, stuff like Warm Bodies. And
I liked Warm Bodies.
Yeah, Warm Bodies is a lot of fun.
That was funny.
And it's because like it realized that, you know, romanticizing a zombie is silly.
It is.
You can make it work, but you gotta acknowledge it's pretty silly that a woman's falling in love with a zombie.
And with a dead guy.
And then a zombie would be having romantic feelings. But they go with it. They make it work and make it silly and sweet. And that's why you like it. Trying to think of other ones. I mentioned Lars and the Real Girl.
Oh, I liked that one too. Very unconventional.
Especially when you consider that...
it's a doll.
right before that, Ryan Gosling did The Notebook, which is considering one of the like most tearjerker romantic films. And then
Two white people almost kissing. The cover.
And then
Nicholas
he goes on.
Spark books.
He goes on to play a lonely guy who's got to get this real doll to fall in love with. But it's sweet because he goes along with it, and the rest of the town goes along with it, and treat her like she's a real woman.
Honestly, I like Ryan Gosling playing a loser more than I like him playing the hottie.
Yeah.
In general, so.
Yeah, a lot of fun that way. Well, because you can experiment more with it.
Yeah.
And along that same lines, I also mentioned Her.
I didn't see that one.
Did you? I thought we watched Her together.
Stupid.
Okay. Yeah, it's the weird one about Joaquin Phoenix falling in love with his phone's OS. Which, much like Lars and the Real Girl, people start to accept it. And it becomes like a weird, acceptable thing in society now.
To fall in love with your OS? What?
Yeah.
On your phone? That's a real thing? Wait, what?
In Her, it is.
Oh, okay. I'm like, did I miss something here?
And I think it's Michel Gondry, and Michel Gondry's Weird World. It is. So, the same guy who made Eternal Sunshine. So.
Oh, I actually like him a lot, so maybe I should see Her. Because I really liked The Science of Sleep, which I think you told me you didn't like.
I didn't like because...
I liked that, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah. Well, I didn't like Science of Sleep only because, you know, it felt like it was trying to be kind of like more the same after Eternal Sunshine. Because Eternal Sunshine is just like one of those perfect little weird science fiction romance films.
It's the best Jim Carrey movie I've ever seen.
It's very up there. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think there might be one other I'm forgetting about, but immediately coming to mind, yeah, it's definitely one of his best roles. It's certainly one of Michel Gondry's best films. So, but yeah, I also put that on the list. I think I also put Scott Pilgrim as an unconventional romance.
Not a great movie, though, man.
Not a great film. Well, I don't really consider it a great film considering the pedigree here of Edgar Wright, because you know to come out of stuff.
Oh, that was an Edgar Wright movie?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I did like Macaulay Culkin's younger brother.
Yeah.
He's come a long way since Fuller.
Yeah. Well, I mean to come out of, you know, like Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, and then to do Scott Pilgrim, it's just kind of like, it feels like he's kind of waning here. Fortunately, he did Baby Driver and completely redeemed himself. So.
Yeah, I did see Scott Pilgrim in theaters, though. I don't know. I thought the female character was kind of an a-hole, and I thought Scott was a little unlikable too. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like the gimmick itself is more interesting than the actual characters, because like the best part of that film is the visuals.
Yeah, that was the best part.
As with most Edgar Wright films, you know, he puts a lot of work into the direction and the visual, the cinematography. So that's even if Edgar Wright film is not that great. Like I wasn't the biggest fan of World's End, but it was still great to look at. So
did I not see that one? I don't think I saw that one.
Yeah, I don't think you saw that one. It's like the third in like the Simon Pegg trilogy where
you must not have liked it because I didn't get to see it.
Yeah, it wasn't that good.
And I didn't see Paul either, so I assume you don't like it.
Well, that's not a Wright film, but
but it's similar people in it or something.
It's
He
yeah,
uses some of his people.
it's Simon Pegg. It's Nick Frost.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like you see Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and like, oh, it's an Edgar Wright film. It's like,
Yeah, basically, essentially, yeah. That's how my thought process works.
Even that that trivia card we have that was an Edgar Wright film. So.
Oh, it did.
Yeah,
it did. That's right. And I'm like, didn't I even say that wasn't an Edgar Wright?
Oh no, wait. It did say that was the correct answer and that he didn't direct Paul.
And I got that one right.
Yeah.
But then I think we also said that he didn't direct
Ant-Man was on there.
Because he didn't direct Ant-Man either.
Yeah. Like some of his...
supposed to, but he didn't.
Yeah, some of his written work's on there, but he dropped out of directing it. Which is a shame, because he'd been wanting to direct that film for over a decade.
Yeah, but they just hosed him on it.
Yeah.
Our cat's being angry with you. Look at her.
What do you want?
She's,
What do you want?
she probably wants a second dinner.
Yeah, probably.
It's probably what the dog wants too, but the dog had lots of food already. She just doesn't know that she needs to stop eating at some point.
So I was trying to find other films that had couples in them, and it's like I said, it's mostly like odd little films, like David Lynch's like Wild at Heart, which is mostly about a very strange couple who go on a road trip where they get involved with lots of shady characters and get involved with lots of death and violence and weird sex, and keep having hallucinations about the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, see, if we were going to watch a movie for Valentine's Day, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is the only one I think I could watch.
That's, yeah, definitely one. Because I know that's a personal favorite of yours. You really love that film, yeah.
It is probably my favorite movie of all time, if I'm really thinking about it. I guess that's the only movie that I've been consistent in thinking that, yeah, that's an awesome movie. Completely holds up for me since high school.
Yeah. So just like, I mean...
get to listen to our cat yell at us for a while until we're done and then we feed her.
Yeah.
She's already had dinner. Don't worry about her.
Yeah. So, yeah. Wild at Heart's a pretty strange one, especially because you get to see Willem Dafoe with less teeth.
Ooh.
As the creepiest, like, if you want to find the creepiest Willem Dafoe role, this is it. You get to see him as this creepy heist guy who has very little teeth, and I believe he gets his head blown off in the film, and probably one of the most gory head explosions since, like, Scanners. I don't think so. But I think you would dig it just because throughout this weird trip they keep hallucinating the witches of the Wizard of Oz. And and what's her name? The woman who played Laura Palmer in Twin Peaks.
Yeah. She
shows up here as the Good Witch in the very end.
Because Lynch has a hard-on for her? Because
Laura's the key to it all.
Yeah.
So even in Wild at Heart, she comes in. I'm trying to think of I try to find stuff with like couple, but it's like weird couples. Not even like romantic ones.
I bet there's some animes.
There is some anime in it, yeah.
Yeah, the Castle of how do you pronounce that?
Castle of Cagliostro.
Gosh, I haven't watched it in a while, so I can't remember.
Oh man. I was so happy when they released this on Blu-ray from Discotheque.
Yeah, I like that one. We've watched that one a few times.
Yeah, especially because, like, well...
Oh, you've got American Splendor over there, too.
Oh, yeah, I got American Splendor. Because that's kind of like a more odd, kind of more believable romance with American Splendor.
What are the couples in Short Circuit and Fargo?
Well, in Fargo, it's Marge and her husband.
Okay, I don't really remember much about their relationship in that.
Well, you don't see as many scenes with them because like she's mostly working, and it's mostly like he comes to visit her at work and like brings her Arby's. Like, oh, you got Arby's all over me.
Arby's tastes like regret.
But they're
I'm not loving it.
They're such a sweet couple that you root for Marge. You root for Marge during it because she's so sweet in this story of murder and revenge and blackmail, and you hope she doesn't end up in the wood chipper, and she doesn't, And so you're happy that she gets to live out her life.
Real interested in seeing pregnant women go through a wood chipper.
No, because she's...
Or anyone, for that matter.
You want to see her live to be a mom. She's got, like, this sweet little life.
Although I do like Peter Stormare in most things I've seen.
Well, yeah.
So.
Peter Stormare. We get pancakes. They have a good, rocky relationship. I was going to say Peter Stormare and Steve Buscemi's character.
I like Steve Buscemi too.
They have a very odd relationship where they share hookers and pancakes. So
hookers and pancakes.
That's something.
That's their romance.
That's the extent of their relationship before a wood chipper gets involved.
Moonrise Kingdom was sweet. The little boy and the little girl.
Yeah,
that run away together.
This is like the sweetest of Wes Anderson films.
Yeah, it's a sweet one.
I mean, in terms of what happens, because like there's a lot of romance in Wes Anderson's films, but Moonrise Kingdom is most sweet because it's kids and it's more whimsical than I think a lot of his other films are, because it's kind of on like this secluded island where you have all these different characters of different backgrounds, and you have this kind of like storybook, kind of almost like fairy tale style to it. It just works really well, because there's a lot of romances I love, like for Wes Anderson films. Like Rushmore is probably my favorite of his films, even though it's about a love triangle that kind of ends a little bit disastrously. But yeah, Moonrise Kingdom is kind of the almost kind of like the easiest of his films to watch, just because it's more sweet than anything. Because I also had like Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah, I like that one too.
And mainly because
Ralph Fiennes does not disappoint. He's not the one. I mean, he has some kind of wayward relationships, but I think the real romance is between the other two characters, the bellboy and the baker.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because
she works at the bakery. I don't know what her job there is. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, because you like them and you want to see that romance develop.
Yeah.
But it's more
cute.
It's more in line with like what Wes Anderson typically does with his films, which is have something really shocking in there. Because like midway through, when they get to like the prison and stuff, it gets really violent.
Yeah, not like over the top violence. So.
Not over the top,
good.
but it kind of blindsides you. It kind of like, so there's. All those people got killed. No, there's violence here.
It takes place in World War II, doesn't it?
Yeah, so they don't shy away from that aspect. But yeah, it's just an amazing film to watch. Just the cast involved too. Like I don't know if you can kind of see it on the cover there, but like the entire cast is on there. So
you got it too far up.
Down there.
Hang on.
Do you want?
Let me take a look at it first, and then. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's too blurry.
Yeah,
we can't do it.
And it's barely visible on there because it's in like that off white and pink on there. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a huge class because you remember that the poster we saw for that is just one of those like kind of like hotel key assortment things, and just like all the actors listed in it. You're just like, oh, you got Jeff Goldblum, you got Bill Murray, you got F. Murray Abraham, you got.
It was a good movie.
Willem Dafoe, you got everybody.
Highly recommend that movie. Yes.
Yeah, it's probably in terms of its assembly, it's probably the best Wes Anderson film.
Movies are gonna fall over backwards and then knock things over.
Got it there.
Kubo, that was sweet. His parents.
Oh yeah, the relationship between the parents is
the monkey and the beetle.
So well defined and very romantic when you learn their backstory of how these two conflicting tribes just sort of had a romance between there. Especially when like they make the reveal of who his parents are, and I like how they save it up as a twist, but they give little hints in there where if you're a parent, you would see that.
Yeah.
Because like you see it in like the scenes when they wake up too early. You see like those tiny little mannerisms of like how they get up and how they kind of address the kid there.
The way they bicker.
With the way they bicker.
It should be pretty obvious. You'll see it.
Yeah.
You'll see it pretty quick, even if you don't have kids.
But the thing is, adults...
If you have any experience with married couples, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, like, adults would pick up on that, but kids won't. So when it gets to that point, like, then it is a revealing twist. So it's kind of like one of those things where, like parents can read it, and they can kind of see the twist coming, but they can't wait to see it happen. And then kids will just be, like, surprised by it.
Yeah.
So that's so great about that. Kind of a little bit different, but like Hayao Miyazaki's films always have like sweet characters. Kiki's Delivery Service is kind of an interesting relationship because Miyazaki likes to do not characters that are very simplistic. Like he loves to do female characters that have more drive, more personality, more on their minds, and more adventurous. And Kiki's Delivery Service is probably like the best example of that because it's essentially about a girl who turns, I think it's like 12 or 13 and decides like
something like that.
Become a witch. You got to go out on your own. You got to do your own thing. She ends up doing it, and there's the boy Tombo who's interested in like in aircrafts and all that, and she's a witch, so she flies. She's like, oh, that's so cool. I want to get into that, and she's like, nah, I don't really like you. I'm not digging on you. So he's got to work for it. He's got to work to get into her good graces. So, and he does by the end, but not as like a typical romance goes. So, but very unconventional. I'm trying to think of the other ones I got here. Princess Mononoke is a little bit more like kind of traditional fantasy romance between Prince Ashitaka and Princess Mononoke. But I kind of dig it just because this film blew me away when I first saw it in the theater. Like, this was like my 2001, where, you leave the theater and you're just like, whoa, I gotta get back in there. Like, I went out promptly and bought the soundtrack after that. It's still one of, like, I think the best soundtracks for any Miyazaki film. Just because you have those large drums and kind of like the haunting choir in some of those scenes. So Princess Mononoke is definitely one of my favorite films. This is actually, I never realized before, but this was actually like the first release by Miramax.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from way back in the day. And I remember they held off on releasing this for about a year because fans wanted the Japanese dialogue track in there.
Are you sure? Because at some point we had like 3 copies of Princess Mononoke.
Was it 3?
We had 2 or 3. We had one that I had, one that you had, and then you got another one when they re-released it. Through when you did DVD reviews.
No, you might be thinking, you're thinking of Spirited Away.
Oh, maybe. No, I had a Princess Mononoke as well.
Oh, yeah, Princess. Okay, because I do still have 2 copies of Spirited Away. So.
Nope, we had 2 copies of Spirited Away, and we had 2 or 3 copies of Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, because I think we had the same copy too, because this was the Miramax release. It's been re-released by Disney and now G Kids. It's under, but yeah, this was actually interesting because it's the original. It had the original Japanese text and everything on there too. So like back when if you were fooling with DVDs, we used to have what were called angles, where you could press like the angle button on your remote and it could switch to like a different video track. So you could do that with Princess Mononoke. You could switch between like the Japanese and the English text credits, which was kind of cool at the time. Very few DVDs did it after like 2004, but it's pretty cool. But yeah, they held us back for like a year, and I remember that because they released the VHS early. Because they was like, we'll release it on English on VHS, but the DVD people, they want Japanese, so we'll hold off for like about a year until they release it. But yeah, I mean, thank goodness they did because it was pretty interesting to see in 3D. I mean, it was in 3D. In 3D. That's the only way to see Princess Mononoke. But it was pretty interesting to see without the English dub. I mean, the English dub is all right. You got Billy Crudup, you got Minnie Driver, you got Gillian Anderson, you got Billy Bob Thornton in it doing a voice too. They're all good in it. Like the way they usually do these. The Miyazaki dubs, so they always get great voice actors. They got Phil Hartman to voice the cat in Kiki's Delivery Service.
Yeah.
So. I mean, you got Michael Keaton to do the voice of Porco and Porco Rosso. How cool is that?
Billy Crystal to play Fire.
Billy Crystal for Fire. That's the snarky Fire. You want a snarky comedian? There you go.
Calcifer, I think was his name, right? Mm-hmm. Or am I mixing him up with somebody else?
No, I think it was Calcifer.
Okay.
And you had Christian Bale playing Howl. It's not an amazing voice, but distinct.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of like. I think they still do it with G Kids. They still manage to get in some interesting voices. Like I think they did a dub of Only Yesterday, and they got like Daisy Ridley and some other big people on there. So yeah, I like the fact that the G Kids or Universal or whoever's releasing the Miyazaki films, they always get a talented voice cast behind them. Because usually with a lot of these anime, through like Funimation and stuff like that, they tend to have like the same rotation of voice actors. They try their best, but sometimes you want to have someone who's not trying to do a voice and just like naturally brings a presence there. Because we were talking with that about Ponyo, how they had Liam Neeson voicing the Ponyo's dad.
Liam Neeson, yeah, he brought it in that one.
Yeah, well, especially for like a character he's got big orange hair and a huge nose and big eyes, and he's wearing this ridiculous like striped suit, and he walks on land with this ridiculous shower mechanism. Mm-hmm. Like I have the feeling like if that was by any other dubbing company, they would try to give him like kind of like a silly voice.
Yeah.
Try to overact it. But no, you do Liam Neeson so that he can sound like a concerned dad.
Yeah.
And you buy it because it's not trying to be goofy.
Because he was in Taken.
And because he was in Taken, so we can make the obvious joke.
I had a cosplayer at a convention quote Taken while dressed up as Ponyo's dad.
I mean, you gotta.
I had to.
You gotta.
Come on. I was upset that it didn't exist already in like a, I don't know, like in an AMV type cut,
it does.
or something. Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Why could I never find it?
Because it got taken down. But yes, a few people have done like, the edits like oh, we should edit Taken audio over it. It's like, yes, you definitely can. You can just sync up like all the Taken audio over it. Is that even drawn?
Do you like it?
I dig it.
Is it any good? I don't know.
I think
I'm
so.
not so sure about it.
Do you wanna? I can put it on the big one.
If you want to.
Yeah, all right, let's see here.
I started that yesterday on our other stream, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any feedback?
I dig it.
You like it?
Yeah.
Did
Pretty
these
cool.
with the new koi pens I
New
got
Sketchbox
with
stuff?
that I had ordered from Sketchbox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Koi.
Oh, it's so koi. Let's see what we got. Oh, gotta mention this because of the trailer with The Incredibles. Great. Well, I mean, everyone obviously kind of really loves The Incredibles just because it's Pixar doing a superhero film.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, it works really well just because Brad Bird is doing the whole family dynamic here. It works really well because he puts a lot of thought into it. So because it feels like a family. And have you seen the new trailer for Incredibles 2?
No, we'll have to watch it.
Okay, because
I saw a poster.
Because they're taking, it seems like they're taking a similar act. They are focusing more on the family aspect.
Is that the one? Is it the same poster of him with Jack? Or not poster, trailer.
The trailer? No. This one
Different
they
one?
actually show actual footage.
Okay.
From it, and it seems like they're focusing it on more on the parenting angle, because it seems like from the trailer they established that superheroes are big again. Mm-hmm. But it seems like they want Elastigirl more than they want Mr. Incredible.
Ooh.
And so Mr. Incredible has to stay at home
And be Mr. Mom.
and essentially be Mr. Mom.
Be a stay-at-home dad.
But and there's a lot of fun that could be had with that, and like most of what I saw in the trailer looked pretty interesting. Probably my favorite moment is there's a scene where he's basically been up all night with Jack.
Mm-hmm.
And is just getting frustrated with him, saying like, I can't keep feeding him cookies. And then Jack freaks out when he doesn't get a cookie and like turns into the monster form and starts biting him. And Mr. Incredible's just kind of like, no, we don't bite Daddy.
Aren't you glad you didn't have that going when you were like, potty training the kid, or
Yeah.
Our kid has never slept through the night. I think she just woke up. Actually, I thought I heard her.
Oh.
I don't know.
Thankfully.
I thought I heard a groan, or like a.
They did show footage of the Underminer in there to let you know that it's going to take place immediately after the first one,
Underminer.
when the Underminer was attacking. So yeah, it turns out, it looks like they didn't go with what my theory was, which is they were going to cut away from that to when the kids are older. So, but that's fine. That's fine. As long as they find fun and unique stuff to do there, and Brad Bird, usually does a really good job with writing and direction. So, I have high hopes for it. I know everyone else does because everyone regards The Incredibles as one of Pixar's best. And it's definitely up there.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly better than Cars.
Yeah. Well, everyone agree with that. Yeah. Cars went downhill.
Oh my gosh, Mark! Look at this.
What do you got there?
I think it's from a Batman movie.
Wives, they are the worst prostitutes of all.
What?
Oh, what hell hath we brought with DC animated films? Let's see. So we mentioned Short Circuit and Fargo. Natural Born Killers. I probably should have put that on the list. An unconventional romance. It's such a bizarre film to watch, especially if you want to see like a crazy Robert Downey Jr. going heavy on I think he's got like an Australian accent in it.
Okay, it's been a while since I watched it. You know where I first watched that movie?
Where is that?
In the student lounge of the college that I went to.
Oh, we watched many crazy stuff in that lounge.
I had a lot of time to kill until my boss got to town. I don't know.
That's where I introduced a lot of people to Heavy Traffic and heavy metal.
You probably brought that movie, didn't you?
No, I got it from the library. Because there were some times where
Natural Born Killers. You're probably the person who brought it.
Oh no, I didn't have that at the time.
Oh, you didn't bring any of the movies?
No, I got them all from the library.
Okay, because I remember someone brought Hook once for some reason. People just brought movies all the time. Yep. I don't know why, but we watched movies. It was something to do.
Something to do, and it depends. Because sometimes there'll be stuff like when The Incredibles came out on DVD. Oh my God! It was a race to see who could get to Target the fastest.
Oh really?
And bring it back so that we could all watch it in the lounge.
I think I enjoyed watching, hanging out in the lounge, not doing anything. Mm-hmm. Than I did going to class.
Oh man, we were so.
That school was not a smart move.
We were so pissed off because the DVD player down there didn't have a remote, so you can only hit play. So we wanted to put in all the special features in The Incredibles to look at the extras.
You couldn't.
And we could only watch the introduction because we couldn't move the damn navigation on it. So we're just Greg, we can only watch the film.
Well, people will bring games and stuff too.
They're bringing games a few times. What was it?
Good times. Good times.
So yeah, unconventional. I was trying to think the romance between Nicholas Holt's character and I don't know why. I just want to bring Mad Max Fury Road up.
You just wanted an excuse.
I'll find any excuse. It's best period dramas. It's a time in history, the speculative future. It's a great historical piece, the Mad Max Fury Road. It belongs in all lists. District 9, just because Treadwell Copley, he really bonded with that alien in more ways than one.
I gotta let the dog out.
Okay.
Ryan. The cat. She was pissed.
Okay. Ryan Gosling for falling in love with a hologram in Blade Runner 2049. And you gotta go with Casablanca. Wonderful, wonderful romance there. Told you never to play that song. And then, of course, Short Circuit, because robots can love too. As Johnny Five is alive, and he's sweet. I know I do. Despite that, I really do kind of love the sequel more of Short Circuit. Just because Johnny Five got guns, and it's more fun to watch Johnny Five go on the offensive. Fargo, obviously, because Marge is so sweet. She has a loving relationship with her husband. And she doesn't get gunned down, even though it seems like she could have in that depressing little film. And obviously you mentioned American Splendor. because Harvey Pekar is just the strangest relationship with his wife, who he meets through the comics. And it's very kind of like it's a very like strained relationship, but kind of like a believable one in that aspect. So yeah, it's very like surreal too. Like Harvey Pekar, for those who haven't seen it, Harvey Pekar himself narrates most of the film and thinks it's just surreal that there's a movie based on a comic book based on his life that's happening, and there was also a play about American Splendor. So they mentioned that part of the movie too, in which I think he's played by some other actor, and I think his wife is played by Molly Shannon in that version. So he says, like, yeah, watching a play about my life was surreal. Like, Lord only knows how I'll view this film. So, kind of bizarre, yeah, because he's watching he's overseeing a film based on his life, based on a comic book, with a play based on the comic book based on his life, and so it's bizarre.
Now the dog wants to go out.
That's what the dog does, yeah. Again, I don't know where I was going with this one, but a few Carpenter films here, namely The Thing and They Live. Roddy Piper. That's such a tender moment.
Oh, I love They Live, but I don't remember any romance from it.
No,
You're really stretching it, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought they were a great couple. Because they teamed up to stop aliens.
They're not a romantic couple, though.
I guess, yeah. Well, I guess the Thing's on here, too. The Thing got very involved with those people at the base. I don't know. It's John Carpenter romance. And then we gotta mention Hackers. Because Hack the World. And seeing Angelina Jolie playing this woman who loves hackers so much that she's with another guy at the time, but she's willing to blow off having sex with him so that she can show off her new PC. Because hackers. They gotta hack the world. What can you say? It's kind of got like a cult following. I know a lot of people. It's got a massive cult following just because it treats the genre kind of known like as hacksploitation, where they try to amp up computer hacking and just computer nerds as like these like alternative punks, and makes like hacking seem all cool with like flashy typography and 3D graphics and stuff. So there you go. All right, well. Thank you for watching this edition of Movies with Mark. In case you missed it, Black Panther is a 4.5 out of 5, so definitely go see it. If you're not burnt out on Marvel films, you will definitely enjoy it. We will be back next week with reviews of the dark comedy Game Day and the new Alex Garland sci-fi film Annihilation.
Neither of which I will have seen.
But we'll
Mark
see.
will have.
But we'll see what you think.
Yeah.
We'll see what you think. What I describe them.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have that perspective. So thank you for watching, everybody.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, you silent people.